Yes, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, of the Variety Hour. I'm Titus O'Reilly, and with me in the studio, none other than Danny McGinlay, who we haven't seen for 2 weeks.
Yeah, what's going on?
It's been my fault, hasn't it? Do I have to admit it's my fault?
I would like that, yeah.
Have you
done others? Have you been doing it with Surge?
I've done Surge once.
Oh, so you do the Surge weeks, but you won't do just because Francis is in Russia.
Well, really, I only went through you to get to Francis.
Oh, here we go.
And one Francis was in Russia, and I thought, I'm never going to see him again.
Oh, this is pointless.
No, I've been, as you know, I'm finishing off my second book.
Yeah, every week, listeners, I've been getting ready for the meeting that we have before every podcast, and every week he's been cancelling. Well, it's been 3 weeks.
2?
So is it 2?
We've only missed 2.
It just feels like 3. I just miss you, man.
Everyone else said to me, like, "What? This is much better."
Who said that? Who are these liars?
I couldn't possibly give out their names.
Well, they can listen to They Came to Play, my other podcast on the ABC with Limo and Tess Armstrong.
I read a few in the 50-50 in the Herald Sun. People text in their crackpot theories, basically. Now
about the tiff we've been having. We've actually, let's be honest, we've had a massive fight, and
see, you think we had a tiff, and to me, that's just a normal relationship. We didn't have a tiff. What would we?
No, we didn't. But I was breaking one up.
You need to interact with each other to have a tiff.
Yeah, that's true.
Wouldn't it be better to have a feud, being we're big, muscly men? It sounds more masculine.
No, we're having a tiff, and you think we're having a feud, and that's what the fight is
My
about.
masculinity is so fragile. We're having a tiff over whether it's a feud or a tiff.
That's right. That's right.
Fair enough.
We're making that busker who wore pink hot pants and the racist guy look like the best of friends.
Who's the racist guy? I missed this story.
Something.
Oh, that idiot that runs all the far-right stuff.
That guy. And he threatened a busker.
Did he?
The dandy man.
He seems so out of character for that guy.
Yeah, I know.
That guy's one of those people you meet in life who's just...
Who, Dandy Man? Or
no, I don't know
Blair.
The busker.
The Dandy Man's a good bloke.
I don't know him either. My stance on buskers, I'm not always...
Yeah, I'm not... Despite being a busker...
Even though I know the one guy's far right and the other guy's a busker, it doesn't I'm not sure who to decide to go on because they've both got their problems, right? I'm not sure I'm on either side in this, but... that guy from the far right, that Blair Cottrell or whatever his name is, he's always just one of those people you meet in life, like regardless of their ideology, just so angry.
Yeah.
Like, it must be he must be exhausted. He probably just needs a good nap.
It's...
like, what's wrong?
The father of a young child came out of you just then. Oh, he's just great.
He's like, what's his... Like, he's just so angry. He must be exhausted.
Yeah, and I don't think he even follows the demons, so I don't know what's really...
Yeah, exactly. I could understand it if he was as like a... But the other thing I'd say is maybe what he needs is what we saw this story, and I talked to Serge about this, but...
did you?
I
Here
did.
we go.
I got a good take on it, but let's get yours. Steve Smith drinking alone. Now, you a fan of drinking alone in a bar? One, we agreed that it wasn't a news story, really.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Not. It's a news story that, hey, he's in New York. Okay, that's like a tweet at best. Not a story. Drinking alone in a bar. Well, I have to do this a lot when I'm on the road.
That's what I was going to say. Like, when you're travelling, especially.
Yeah.
Do you mind it?
I'd rather talk to people, but...
Oh, really? That's where you and I are different.
Yeah. And Dory, I angry read your things and just automatically disagreed because of the tiff.
Feud.
It's tiff! But yeah, no, it's... I mean, and I love that it also said he had 3 pints.
Oh, I didn't even read that bit. I just saw the photo. 3 pints.
It said 3 pints.
So what, is there half an hour?
Yeah, you really nursed him.
See,
do you know what's hard though? Like the thing that gets me through when I'm drinking alone on the road is if because I finish my gig about 11 p.m. I need there to be like overnight cricket or overnight soccer or some sort of sport happening on the other side of the world. He's probably gone there to because he's playing for Toronto and everything, but he can't say, "Hey mate, put the cricket on," because then That'll just
But he
depress
looked
him even more.
perfectly happy. Like, this is the thing. I love being in a bar by myself, mainly because that's how I end up. Because you don't have to talk to anyone. You just get to sit there and you get to judge people silently, which is one of my favourite hobbies of all time.
You don't need a bar for that. Oh, but yeah, they serve alcohol. So it
Yeah,
makes it
that's
easier.
right. So I don't even have to. I like you're at the bar. You don't have people bring you beer. You don't even have to move. Like, it's heaven. Why would you want to be anywhere else? You know, I don't get what the outrage was. It was like, look, I reckon drinking alone is one of the best things you can do.
Yeah, that's actually what the TIFF was about. I kept coming over to do a podcast, interrupting his alone drinking
That's
time.
right, because we were going to go, except you were too soft, to the
Oh,
pub.
here we go.
To the pub to watch the Peru
Australia
Socceroos game.
Yeah.
Now, you had to write a column. Didn't
and
you?
well, I
So-
had to write a match review for the Herald Sun, and then be up at 7:30 a.m. to take my kid to kinder. And I just thought,
how's that my problem?
It's no.
So you
didn't,
you didn't want to come to the pubs, is what you're saying? Because you had to. You seem to suggest that being blind drunk with me would hurt your column, which to me was. I thought that was kind of a weird approach, especially at the Herald Sun.
Well,
Have you seen how Robbo writes a column?
It would have, if I could have taken. Do you know what I should have done? I should have taken my laptop and we should have wrote it together.
Well, I was going to suggest that. So, but anyway, in a way, because I just watched it at home by myself and probably didn't drink as much as if I was with you, I kind of was thankful because it was just a horrendous 90 minutes.
Man, it was so
staying up till,
till 2.
Which doesn't bother me if I was out, but staying up at home, you get comfy, you just want to lie down. It's harder to stay awake, especially when things are not going well.
Oh, so you're clearly not a Champions League qualifiers watcher. Like, I've been up at that hour watching on a laptop a shitty stream from Kazakhstan.
I've done all that, but I always just see my two greatest loves in life are sport and sleep. So there's a battle going. There's a real feud going on between those two, and so I often will do it, but I'm not as like if I'm going to start late, I have to sort of go out and be out and about. Like just sitting at home,
right?
I reckon it's much harder.
Although,
then my only person I know, who is you, I said, "Do you want to go out of the pub and watch?" And you were like, "No."
It's interesting. You asked me, and you suggested a pub that was literally 30 meters from your house.
Well, what other pub am I going to suggest? and to be fair, it's not. It's what? How far is it from your house?
It's at least 300 meters from my house.
Yeah, that's right. So, do you have anyone closer? This is fascinating. Just listeners, just bear with us while we work out the geographic locations of pubs near us, because it's fantastic for our listeners.
Yeah, that's true. Look, do you know what we need to do? We need to just do a pub crawl with one of those.
But is there one closer to you?
In the other direction, yeah. I could go to Welcome to Thornbury. Oh, I've given away where we live now.
Or where you live. God.
Just know it. There you go. You're working out
there's already people at the windows. So anyway, the Socceroos, what did you think of that performance? I didn't realise until the backlash yesterday, because we're recording this on a Thursday, the backlash yesterday on Wednesday to the Socceroos World Cup campaign, if we can call it a campaign, I hadn't realised the Socceroos had gone in rated number 1 in the world. Because that was how people reacted. They reacted like this was a shock that we didn't make it out of the group stage.
Yeah.
And I kind of went, we're rated something like 36 in the world, and out of the World Cup seeded teams, I think we were
last or second last.
They were a bit further up, but not much further up.
Yeah.
Like I think we were in the bottom. We were definitely in the bottom 10 out of the 32.
Yeah.
So we were not meant to. Scotland have never made it out of the group stage. So Australians kind of look at it and go, "Oh, why aren't we winning this?" And you come like, "Well, most of our top sports people play football or NRL.
There's a
cricket.
great American comic, I can't remember the name, but he's got a thing of, I love watching the World Cup. It's the world's best athletes and America's fourth best.
Yeah.
And that's probably, there is some great athletes in there, but yes, AFL and cricket and rugby tend to suck out the elite, promising athletes with promises of money and local glory
and relevancy and
not having to live in England.
Which is always a big sell.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. So I thought we played well. We just couldn't score a goal. I think we actually were better on the night than Peru. Their first goal was a cracker. There wasn't much we could do about that. Second goal was unfortunate. But if we'd had a bit more firepower up front.
You didn't think Robbie Cruz was the answer to all our problems?
Sadly not. He reminds me a lot of... He's the Nick Revolt of the Socceroos, because he always looks like he's going to cry, and he doesn't really deliver on the big occasions. Sorry, Nick.
Oh, he runs a lot, does he?
He does. Yeah, he does run a lot. And do you know what the answer wasn't? It wasn't Timmy Cahill. I was amazed how much even sports broadcasters I respect were saying, well, we should have brought on Cahill. He played about 2 hours over the past year.
Well, he hadn't scored a goal in 10 appearances at Millwall.
Well, it's because he played like the last 3 minutes a few times.
Barely. And then, he's 40 almost.
Yeah.
He's about to turn 40, so he's not...
And everyone was complaining because we brought on, not Behic, the Azani, the guy we brought on in the Denmark game. I am still a zombie. I'm still getting over
the young kid?
No, hang on, I'm building to a joke. You can edit this. So
oh, right, okay.
I'm not a joke, a fact.
Oh, a fact.
It's a fact.
For you, they're the same thing.
God damn it. Who do we bring on? All right, let me just look at the match review.
And you wonder why I've cancelled this the last 2 weeks.
We brought on Tommy Juric.
Yeah, right.
Brought on Tommy Juric, who's never won us a game, except for that time he won us the Asian Cup final.
Right. Yeah, that was a good win, though.
Yeah, that was.
But apart from that, I thought it was like an entirely predictable Socceroos performance.
Yeah, you would have seen the meme. I think Sportsbet put out the cycle of Australia's World Cup of struggle through the group, just scraping in qualifiers, hire a Dutchman, get our hopes up, bomb out. And that's
right,
the circle.
rinse and repeat.
That's just what happened the last 2 times.
I saw some people saying things like some of the media commentators going, we shouldn't bother with the World Cup.
Oh, yeah. Great idea.
Yeah, just don't bother.
Yeah, genius idea. Well done.
So that's the kind of attitude that's really going to spur you on to be a top sport. Just don't bother.
Yeah.
So they eat their own soccer media, though.
Oh, man.
The only people they hate... I always used to think they hated non-soccer fans the most. But they hate their own even more sometimes.
Yeah, and they really hate people they perceive to not be soccer people talking about soccer.
Oh, no wonder it doesn't... It is no wonder... Like, I've been attacked so many times by soccer fans online, and I go, well, I've been a Victory member since the year they started.
Yep.
And they go, oh... But they attack you just if they suspect you're not a hardcore. Like, if you're not going every week and you don't stay up all night to watch every single game or something, like, you don't really like it. And you're like, well, you know what? There's lots of sports that I follow and pay money towards and I'm interested in and don't hate, like actively like, but they're not my number one sport. But that's fine. Like, that's how you grow a sport, isn't it?
Yeah, and they hate people who go every week but don't sing. Or they don't, that don't stand up and chant for the whole 90 minutes.
Is that they only really want someone who goes every single week, like
Sings
whose
the whole
whole
time.
entire life is soccer, basically?
Yep. Yeah, pretty much.
You have to be a zealot.
Yep, you have to get a face tat that says Adelaide United forever till I die. And
so, I'm now accepted in the soccer community, but boy, have the job offers dried up.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing you can do, is it?
Yeah. So how many clubs are you a member of? You're talking about your not your number one sport. So you're a member of the Demons?
Member of the Demons.
Member of Victory?
Victory.
Are you a member of anyone else?
Nah.
Okay, well, there you go. That's
an MCC member. Then...
So
like other sports, like teams overseas and things like that.
Well, yeah, but you're not paid up member.
Nah.
So with MCC, do you support Melbourne in the local district cricket?
Yeah, massively.
So when you're looking up the scores and it's Melbourne versus Fitzroy Doncaster.
Insane. You got to remember, I watch every single AFL match every weekend, and I'm going to 3 games this week, and so I kind of don't have a lot of time for other things.
It does eat up a lot of time. I'm actually grateful for the Bulldogs being rubbish during this World Cup, and now that the Socceroos are over, I figure now we'll just start firing up again.
Well, they broke your heart last week.
They did. I had a really good experience. I watched it with Martin Flanagan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're just
Yeah, former Age journalist.
yeah, and author of A Wink from the Universe, the the book about the 2016 Premiership year, and so he's just he's got a grandfatherly presence that you don't get too emotional when he's there.
But is he calming to you?
He was calming, yeah, and and he's got good insight into it, and he points out, okay, I think you lost it there, and oh well, what are you going to do?
Oh, there's lots to point to.
Yeah. What is anyway? How are the D's going? They've started losing.
We're about to turn it all around.
Are you?
We've had 2 losses in a row, so we're about to turn it all around.
Jesus, it was so the cut. Was it Queen's birthday?
Yeah. Why are we bringing this up?
Because this was how weird it was. Collingwood I've talked about this a few times. They're ruining their brand by being likable.
How? No, hang on.
They are, man.
One, you've brought up the Queen's birthday.
Yeah.
And secondly, now you're saying Collingwood are likeable.
They are. They've got players that are fun to watch. Mason Cox is hilarious. Mason Cox, Jeremy Howe, Tyson Goldsack. These Treloar's fun to watch. DeGoey's probably
DeGoey.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah,
well, he'll be a great kangaroo. But then when all the coaches dressed up to go down the big freeze, Buckley comes out wearing the fireman's helmet of a big Collingwood fan who has motor neurone disease, who was a fireman, wearing his helmet. You're like, oh, that. Then you see the guy with motor neurone disease down there, and he's almost crying because Bucks is wearing his helmet. And suddenly I'm going, I kind of want that guy in the wheelchair to have the best day of his life, and I want Collingwood to win. And I felt horrible for that, but then it came true, and yeah, this is more just a confession. Maybe this is what our tiff was about.
Well, see, I hate Collingwood so much that made me hate firemen. And that's nothing against firemen, but that's how much
you set fire to some hedges on the way home.
Well, in fairness, and I've spoken to a lot of Collingwood fans over the years, they want us to hate them.
Yeah.
They're actually insulted if you say I don't mind Collingwood, which I would never say. They're like, come on.
Why do you think I'm doing this, Titus?
Yeah, I don't know. You're driving a mad.
I am getting under their skin.
You're about to jump from the Bulldogs. I can see it.
Well, a lot of people think I have because their banners are brilliant this year.
Brilliant.
Well, I wouldn't say brilliant. Okay.
Oh, Collingwood's are.
Yeah, Collingwood's
are. I thought you were slamming the Bulldogs.
I would never do that. Do they even have banners anymore?
Well, you wouldn't
know.
No one's watching them. So the thing about it is, anyway, we hate Collingwood. Is that what we're agreeing on?
No, I don't mind them at the moment.
Oh,
yeah. I'm just getting under their head.
We should mention Adam Treloar's out for the rest of the season pretty much now. There's a few people. He's torn his one hamstring. I think he's left one off the bone pretty much to go to surgery on that. And the other right one he twinged as well.
Yeah, although
I did that once reaching for a remote, so I know exactly what he's going through.
Nick Del Santo was on AFL 360 saying he's done this injury and he was back within 9 weeks. So they could rush him back.
Well, they're
finals.
saying 8 till 10 weeks is what people are sort of saying, but then others have said that's it could be longer. Like it could, so he could
really,
not be back by
opinions.
finals.
Okay, yeah.
Well, I was reading a thing about a doctor who'd written today, so it was an actual doctor for once.
Which doctor? Dr. Vinnie Bumbutz? Dr. Lionel?
No, it was a real
Nick
doctor,
Riviera?
and he was going through what they know about hamstrings, why it often some take so long,
what
and all
do
that.
They know about hamstrings?
Well, it was interesting.
Where's the name come from?
But remember, Buckley did his hammy, and they actually ended up. He kept doing it, and they actually went in and operated after it just kept. He kept twinging them all the time.
Yep.
So they went in and found there was a tear all deep down and actually repaired it. And after they had no more problems.
Was there many jokes made about the ham being cured? That's what
again, this is why. This is why. I could be writing my book right now. So anyway, he's going to be out. That's a huge loss for them.
It is.
Because he, speaking of Queen's birthday, since you brought it up, he absolutely killed us. He was one of the ones I was like, if it wasn't for him, we would have. Oh no, we still probably would have lost the way we played. But he's been, huge for them. They can't replace that.
That's true. Yeah, absolutely. But let's focus on the Demons. Thursday night.
This isn't the Demons.
No, I want to. What about?
We do enough Demons.
What happened on Thursday? You didn't play badly. It's just just trying to bring out the emotions here.
No, well, we didn't play well. Speaking of Port, Jack Trengrove is going to play for them this week.
That's
Former
right.
Melbourne captain.
Yes, Jack Trengrove is replacing Jackson Tengrove.
Who showed up late to training. They've banned... hang on. I've got it open here in front of me.
Trengove replacing Trengrove. There we go.
I'm just trying to find who he's coming in for. I read it before. No, Darcy Byrne-Jones is the one that has been dumped for arriving late to a training session. Can't do that. So that's a blast from the past. Port have got Tumpus and they've got Trengove. They've sort of rebuilding. They're sort of rebuilding Melbourne's 2011 team, which was a cracker. Why wouldn't you?
How does it feel to be a feeder club?
Last Carlton. Getting back to Collingwood for a second. Jordan De Goey's been offered what they're calling a Godfather offer.
Yeah, this is the Dustin Martin war chest.
This is the war chest by North Melbourne. Now, in the media, all of a sudden, it's all... I think because his agent said it or something, said, he wouldn't move except for a Godfather offer, which is, an offer you can't refuse from the Godfather trilogy or from the first movie. The thing I find amazing about that is surely we've learned that AFL players are very good at rejecting or refusing offers from North Melbourne.
Yeah.
They haven't shown themselves to really be that effective in this. This war chest they've got.
Oh, the offer.
It must be the biggest war chest in history because the last 3 years it's been, we're going to spend big, we're going to spend big. I think they offered Dustin Martin. Who was the other one they offered last year?
I don't know. I thought it was all Dustin Martin, wasn't it?
No, they had Dustin Martin and then they were talking about throwing money at other people too. There was a bunch. No, it wasn't Fife. I'm not sure it was Josh Kelly from GWS.
Oh, it was. Yes, you're right.
So they've thrown the money around before and it hasn't. And so you look at this and go, well, is De Goey going to go? I don't know. He's kind of he shows flashes of being good and he could be really good, but he's not. This is one of those ones you do on hope that he's going to progress along a path. Yeah, he's shown enough to make you... He's shown
flashes of hope. He's also shown flashes of dickhead.
Just a bit. Honest. Just a bit.
Yeah.
He had the drinking one. He had the fight which he blamed his dog on.
Yes.
Which is a theme down there in Collingwood. Blaming your dog. And then what do you have? What was the other one earlier in the year?
Drink driving earlier this year.
That's right, drink driving. Yeah. So he's not, he's got form. So do you reckon, what's your source?
They're saying he's the next Carey. So
what's your sources telling you off the field he is?
Well, my sources have really got better things to talk about than what North Melbourne are doing.
It'd be interesting to see if it actually happens.
Yeah, sure. Do you know, there's a big lack of proper media coverage of Trade Week. It's all on social media. It's all hearsay. We should apply to host a full-day Trade Week show, and we'll make half of it up, but we'll keep people interested.
That's still half more, they'll still have half as much good content compared to the rest.
It should be like election night coverage where it's just we keep going to Anthony Green and it's just constant updates and people speculating. That would rate higher than the final series.
Isn't that just trade radio?
Yeah, but TV version.
A TV version of trade radio.
That's what we need. We're putting our hands up, AFL. You can ring Gillen on your bat phone.
Yeah. People go, who is this? It's just been announced Tom Lynch is out for the rest of the season from the Gold Coast with a PCL injury. Won't play again.
What is PCL?
Knee, I believe. Hang on. That means...
posterior cruciate ligament.
Yeah, sorry. Back one, yeah. Which I believe is...
so
you could argue he's out of contract at the end of the year. You could argue... he's been battling it apparently most of the season, which would explain some of his form.
How did he do the injury? Was he giving Stewie you a piggyback or something? Or
well, so it seems he's going to be out between 4 to 6 months.
Oh wow!
So the odds of him, he could not play again for the Suns.
This is huge news. I mean, Richmond are looking for him. Surely North Melbourne are going to hassle him as well.
I think they counted themselves out of the race for him.
Really?
Maybe because he told them that he wasn't interested. So he's 26. It's a pretty serious injury. Richmond, Collingwood and Hawthorn are all keen. So that's sort of the main ones that are sort of looking for for it.
So he doesn't want to go to North Melbourne because they're too likeable.
Yeah, the trees.
Richmond, Hawthorn, and Collingwood. Now I know I'm trying to get under the Magpies fans' skins here, but God, why would you want to just destroy everyone? Why would you want everyone to hate you?
Except for what? Because you're winning.
Yeah. I'm showing my Bulldogs colours here. We're so likeable. We've apologised several times for winning the grand final.
You've more than that. You made up for it by not playing ever since.
Yeah.
It's possible you guys are still on your at that end of 2016 vacation celebrations.
Yeah.
You never really came back from them, did you?
Limo has a good joke. He goes, you don't have a premiership hangover. You've had the hangover. You've been an alcoholic since 1954. We just had a moment of clarity.
It is like that. You just wasn't... It's not for everyone winning. It's a bit like me in the gym. Once every, 60 plus years?
62 years,
yeah, that's enough for me. I don't need to go any more than that. So that's huge news. I can't believe he's going to be out. That's... I don't know. I don't think you got to... If you're him, you got to be thinking seriously about being out of there.
Yeah, well, it's one of the few times that the Suns are making the Victorian media. So it's... A lot of people are still going, no, which one is he? He's not Ablett. He's the tall one. Is that... There's a lot of Googling of Tom Lynch going on through the Melbourne footy fans.
Well, basically in Melbourne, if you're an interstate player, you're getting coverage because either you're a trade target,
yep,
even if you're not.
Yeah,
But that's the story. Or you've probably belted someone or done something in a nightclub. That's sort of what gets you in the Melbourne media. If you're a Melbourne player or Victorian-based player, just breathing will get you into the front on the front page.
Yeah, imagine if one of them drank alone at a pub.
Well, down in Geelong, Media Diversity is having Dangerfield on the front cover one day, Selwood the next, and Ablett the third. That's what they consider media diversity down there.
I love the Cats advertiser, Geelong advertiser.
I remember when they appointed the new editor of the Geelong Addy, and he announced it on Twitter, and I tweeted at him, "More coverage of the Cats, please." And he wrote back, "Done."
Hey!
Which I thought was good.
So the listeners might be noticing that this is a bit of a different style of show tonight. We should have said this at the top. Normally...
Oh, yeah, you were meant to say this.
Yeah, I know, but we got...
We've been held at gunpoint.
We were... normally, Titus has a very regimented run sheet of what we're going to speak about, and today he's not done one, and he said, well, what should we talk about? I go, mate, let's just go on.
I was prepared to write one, but you were just all loosey-goosey.
That's how it goes. So at the moment, if there's any long periods of silence, it's because Titus is scrolling through the news feed looking for something to talk about.
Well, see, I've been writing a book all day, so I've been totally not... Like, the last 2 weeks, or longer, actually, but especially as I get close to the end of it, because I'll be finished it soon, is... because you're reading up and researching all this older stuff, you kind of lose track with the modern world because I'm just not able to look at it all the same.
Tell me that slanderous stuff that can't go into the book. Let's talk about that.
Let's just say my next book is going to require a lot of legal people to read it first.
Oh, yeah. He's learning where the bodies are buried, folks. Oh, and by the way, if you see Titus O'Reilly out and about at one of the 3 footy games this week, buy him a beer. The combination to his safe is not hard. It's like two mid-strengths. You can learn a lot of stuff this weekend, people.
Yeah, I always encourage people to buy me a beer. Optus Sport.
Now this is big, yeah.
We were talking about Optus Sport's fail. Some new news that just came out today. They've agreed to... Optus Sport has agreed to let public broadcaster SBS show the World Cup matches the remainder. So we're up to the round of 16.
We are about to be, yeah. There's one more night of match day, group games.
So then we get into that. Now, I think Optus had a few of those games. Not
the group stage. They were going to get like a couple of the round of 16.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, sorry. Of the round of 16, they were going to get, I think, about half of them.
Yeah.
And
they were going to have one a night, and SBS were going to have the other.
That's right. So they were looking at that. Now they've decided that, obviously, because of the disaster this has been, that they're going to allow SBS, or the SBS
They
are
make
going to basically end up with all of it as well because
They
they
make it sound
can't
like
trust their technology.
a mutual decision. Like that time, my girlfriend in high school agreed to break up with me, and I mutually agreed to let her.
Right.
It's a mutual decision.
Yeah. As you cried your eyes out for 2 months afterwards.
Yeah.
Is it still hurt?
No, I'm okay now. I'm okay. Call me, Daniela. Call me.
I'm so lonely.
It's so lonely. I'm drinking alone.
So Optus have decided, obviously, that they can't afford to have another technical stuff up
Yeah.
with any match. And so that they've decided that, all right, we're going to let SBS cover everything now. So basically, this has been one of the great corporate disasters in recent times, outside of people dying. But in some ways, it's more serious than that because some people didn't get to watch Egypt.
Egypt versus Senegal.
Yeah, that's right. Like, there's nothing. You don't know pain until you've tried to watch Egypt, Senegal, and haven't been able to.
It has forced a lot of people to watch the SBS coverage, which I don't know if you know this, Titus. It's hosted by a woman, and apparently that is the worst thing.
Oh yeah, I
in
thought
the
that was
world.
illegal.
Yeah, and how bad's this? She pronounces ethnic words.
Well, she pronounces. I can't believe we should say Lucy Zelich.
Zelich, yes.
If we're going to stick to the proper pronunciation thing.
Pronunciation.
Pronunciation. Well, I do like how she's set the bar too high for blokes. Blokes have all bloke commentators like, oh, we got to attack her. It's a woman doing her job properly.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the greatest threat to a man. Is a woman who knows what she's doing.
I just miss the old days when soccer commentators would just occasionally give up and call a striker old mate.
But see, Les Murray made...
He was awesome.
But it endeared him to people that he pronounced everything properly.
Yeah.
So suddenly a woman does the exact same thing, and all these people get upset.
Yeah.
It's just bewildering to me. And then, meanwhile, over on Channel 7, your mate, Brian Taylor, can't even get the players, like, not the pronunciation's not the problem. He can't get the players' names right.
Yeah.
And he called the SCG the other night the MCG. So, she gets attacked for doing something properly.
Yep.
And meanwhile on 7, they just can't even get players' names right regularly.
I remember a decade ago when Kelly Underwood started commentating on Channel 10 and just meeting random dickheads who would be like, oh, mate, she is so terrible because, did you hear the other day she said this? And then they go, right, and what's with that? Oh, how can you not tell that that's shit?
Yeah.
You go, all right, you're just sexist.
It is amazing, though, that, like, she's, doing that. She did that emotional defence of why she was pronouncing names correctly.
Yeah.
And you're like, in what world are we where suddenly doing a job properly is something that has to be defended?
How does she do... I've got to be honest, I tape, because I've got young children, I tape the matches and then watch them in the morning. So I tend to fast forward through the preamble.
Here we go.
Yeah, here we go. But how's she gone with the English team? Does she put on a little Cockney accent or something?
She does it depending on what part of England they're from.
Is
It's that intense. She's like a character actor.
So obviously starting up forward is Harry Kane.
That's exactly right. It's amazing.
Oh, she'd be so relieved that Scotland didn't make the World Cup.
Yeah, that's right.
Hi, James McFadden. Hey, he's doing all right.
She'd been practicing her Scottish accent for months. It just didn't work.
Oh, God, it'd be if Wales made
she's
it.
the Daniel Day-Lewis of commentators.
She goes and lives in each country.
Yeah, that's right. She's been last 4 years. She's lived in each country that's made the World Cup. It's been intense.
And all those months in Italy and Netherlands wasted.
Getting to know their culture and Germany. She really had got the German down.
Did Les Murray ever do that? Did he ever, when he was Lando Donovan from the United States?
That'd be great. Like you have to say it all now. Do not just the pronunciation, but the accents would be.
I would love that. I would kill at that. Yeah. I'm gonna join SBS commentary team and I go, Lucy, you do all the actual proper non-English speaking names, and I will handle the dumb accents.
Well, once this podcast released, I wouldn't be surprised if you start getting calls.
I hope so.
So
do you mean the good ones or the ones we normally get?
They're the ones we normally get.
Oh, right.
Optus has also actually paid back a lot of their
Oh, really?
People who
or the $15.
The $15, they've refunded that, which I think is a good thing.
Oh yeah.
They're
so good, aren't they, Optus? Let's give them a present.
Well, I mean, I actually do think they started off. I mean, what they did has not been great. They started off not handling it very well, but then they did give it back to the SBS and refund the money. You can't really ask them to have done more than that once. Yeah. I think that's taken a fair bit of heat out of it. The problem is a lot of damage was done, but it's one of those things that affects, like, the amount of people that actually couldn't watch a game they wanted to watch, you know, was nowhere near the amount of people who now just, in a branding sense, think Optus are terrible. People who never even had the app.
I feel sorry for Mel McLaughlin and Mark Schwarzer, who probably thought, all right, well, I'm going to get a lot of, this will boost my profile hosting.
I'll be in the
World
big
Cup.
new way of the future.
God, we could have been complaining about Mel McLaughlin rather than Lucy Zelich.
Yeah,
she
her
should have copped all the
pronunciation.
sexist. But Mark Schwarzer's
if she wasn't pronouncing them correctly, we would have bagged her for that too.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
we can get him either way.
Mark Schwarzer, though, like, we haven't seen him on TV much, but I'd really love to hear what he has to say. You know, I respect his thoughts. I think. I don't know. I haven't heard them.
You haven't heard him.
Sounds like
so
he
you
would be
probably
good.
respect them because you haven't heard them.
Yeah, but Mark Schwarzer's
The more
one of the
exposure you
greatest.
have to a sports person,
Yeah, that's true.
there tends to be the less you respect them.
Maybe it's good for his brand that, in my mind, he's still awesome.
On the App Store, the iOS App Store, which is for Apple users, the Optus Sports app has 2-star rating.
Oh, okay.
Who's giving it 2 to bump the average up?
Oh, there'd be... Because the average is like 5. It's like RedTube, isn't it? Like, everyone tends to give 5 stars. It's like Uber. Everyone's got 5
I
stars.
like how you go from...
Yeah, I just remember we had that chat about that a lot of kids listen to this show, so it's like Uber, okay?
I like the priority of way your mind works.
Well, I'm always amazed on RedTube how everything's 5 stars. And also, who's giving a review on RedTube? Who's that? Well, I really enjoyed that. The character arc, the cinematography, good aspect ratio.
Is that what you ride, is it?
Hey, do you know a friend of mine who is a public figure? So I should.
See, this is why I have a run sheet normally.
No, this is good. This is
Because
loose.
you've hijacked it into a whole nother area.
Yeah, that's true.
So your friend does what?
On Uber, we were talking about how you just give everyone 5 stars, and he suddenly stopped and went, no, you can't give 5 stars all the time. You got to 5 stars is Citizen Kane. You got to go out of your way to give 5 stars. You go, no, if it drops below like 4 stars, they lose their license. And he realised he'd been killing a lot of Uber people's career just by giving 3 stars for average. There was a fine journey, but then just 3 stars.
All right, yeah. Well, there's a few times I've given well below 5.
Have you?
Oh yeah,
You given 1 star?
yeah.
What were they?
I had one guy that sped and drove in a way that even I felt like I was going to die.
Right.
Usually, when you're in a taxi or an Uber, you're like, well, I wouldn't do that if I was driving because I don't want the fine.
Yeah, right.
But I'm going to get home quick. Like the time I had to go to Nova one morning and there was a huge traffic jam, so the Uber driver drove the whole way up the bus lane on Hoddle Street.
There we go.
And I got what should have been a 40-minute journey was a 10-minute one. And I thought, well, he's going to get the fine, so I'm happy with this.
So you gave him 5 stars?
He was fine. But the one I went on, I thought, I really think I'm going to die. Another one I got in and he just told racist and sexist jokes.
Yeah, that's always...
To which I sort of argued with him a bit and then gave him 1 star. So that was kind of fun. So yeah, occasionally I will, but I won't just do it for no reason. Usually I have a private driver,
Yeah,
of course.
exactly. As a Demon supporter, you thought
This is
an
only when I'm
Uber
caught
driver was
out.
just when that German guy worked for the limo company.
One thing I want to talk about is Jeremy Cameron's ban of 5 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
There's 2. One, I thought the Giants' reaction to this was amazing.
What it didn't make news in Melbourne? What happened?
So they went out and said, Liam Cameron and Dave Matthews, who's their CEO, both came out very hard in the media and basically saying that people had tried to assassinate Jeremy Cameron's character.
Well, that's interesting because he tried to assassinate his nose.
Well, I think they're annoyed that everyone sided with the guy with bleeding of the brain.
Yeah, typical.
Typical
natty state.
typical bleeding hearts and bleeding
Typical
brains sticking
bleeding
together.
brain lefties.
So they thought that he was labelled, various people labelled him a thug and said it was a dog act. And they came out, like Paul Roos, Gary Lyon, Gerald Healy are some who have said very strong comments about it, Roos especially. Now, this has touched a sore part because the Giants have always believed Paul Roos, being a former Sydney Swans coach and heavily involved with the Swans long after too, hates GWS. Is part of the
anti-Orange conspiracy.
It's probably true, right? Like, there's a lot of Sydney people who think the Swans have worked really hard to get to a point where they're going okay.
Yep.
They have to win all the time to keep the crowds up. And they look at it and go, why would you suddenly put another team up there, divide the support of a city that is not really focused on us properly? Like, the Swans know they've done a good job, and by being competitive, they've stayed up there.
Yep.
But they also know that, like, we haven't seen the Swans miss finals in 20 years. So, you know, they have a couple of bad seasons. Like, they have a season like a Gold Coast. You might be back down to, like, 20,000, 15,000 crowds. So they look at that and go, why would you add another one? So that's their view, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying now the AFL would say, well, yeah, but you got to grow the game, and by having two, you actually build the overall AFL fans, right? So the Giants were furious, but they came out and really attacked. And I thought, is this the issue you want to launch your defence on? And it makes me feel like they might be feeling very like the Gold Coast have done this year too with their chairman, which is they sort of know that the majority of football fans either don't care about them or think they're a waste of time.
Resent them.
Or at the most, even people that don't really resent them a lot think it's a waste of money.
Right, yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah, I'd say that's
Like, you wouldn't say there's broad-based support for them.
No, there's a big lack of big picture people in the AFL support.
Well, and I think that it's a combination of the fact that the Suns fall into a slightly different category to the Giants. The Suns fall into a lot where people think the Gold Coast is not a market that accepts sports very easily.
No.
And secondly, you've been a basket case of a club. So that's not levelled at the Giants. The Giants probably have a bit more support, like respect from people, because they've actually made smart decisions, don't you think?
Well, they've made finals. But whenever the Giants do something right, we say, oh, it's the AFL helping them out. If they do something wrong, we go, oh, it's rugby league's fault.
Yeah.
So it's, do you know what Jeremy Cameron needed to do? The biggest problem with this whole issue is he used his elbow when it's been proven by the AFL if a Giants player uses their foot to break someone's nose, that's totally fine. You get the other player gets a slap on the wrist.
Do you think 5 weeks was enough? Not enough?
I thought 8 weeks, considering all this concussion stuff was bubbling away.
Yeah,
I thought they'd be harsher.
I thought 6 was like. I thought 6 would be probably the minimum.
Yep.
And probably what he'd get. 5, I was actually. That's the other thing. I thought when he got 5, I thought the Giants should be thankful he got 5.
Yeah, well,
because his record's terrible.
Oh yeah, 'cause he said after the game, "I like to go after the ball hard."
Yeah.
He really hates that ball.
Hates it. Got a lot of pent up aggression.
Yeah. Maybe his dad was killed by a ball.
You think there's sort of like an 80s movies backstory?
Yes,
here?
there is. Yeah,
that would make a lot more sense.
It's like Cliffhanger. He was going for a mark and then he fell down the mountain.
It is interesting because he has the 5 weeks. I thought 6. As a bit, I could have seen an aim for 8. I think 6 makes sense to me because of his record and the fact that Harris Andrews is going to at least probably miss a month.
Yeah.
And with concussion, that could even be a bit longer. So I thought 6 is the bare minimum. But So I actually thought the AFL went on the very cusp of any lower, or they would have been slammed. They went as low as they could probably go and not.
Do you reckon they had a focus group? Do you reckon they go, all right, what's too harsh? What's the least we can get away with? 5 weeks, all right.
They just rang a bunch of people.
Yep.
Hypothetically.
Yeah. Well, what they do is they ring people in Western Sydney who know nothing about AFL, so that way they can remain anonymous.
You think that's the best way to do it?
That's a very good system they have.
Now, there was an article by Jake Nile in The Age today that I thought was interesting, and it was on the back of this Cameron Andrews event, and it talked about whether the AFL needs a send-off rule. what's your thoughts on a send-off rule? Lee Matthews is a advocate for it. Jared Healy has as well.
Is Lee Matthews for it because he's the one who told Alistair Lynch to go out and break everyone's noses?
Well,
it's
always a bit amusing that Lee's kind of coming out on that side. But do you think there should be a send-off rule? Doesn't have to be a red card. It could just be a straight send-off.
I don't think so yet. I think if things got a bit more violent, then yeah. But and then I think of Toby Green kicking someone in the face. And I think, yeah, probably.
So if you're going to do hot take radio, you can't just... You got to come down hard on one side.
All right. How's this? Okay, there needs to be red cards.
You can't give nuanced, sensible, show people you're actually thinking and considering things.
Yeah, okay, sorry, I've ruined it. Okay, I've got it. There has to be a send-off rule, but it's only applicable when teams are playing the Bulldogs.
Right.
If you heard a Bulldogs player, you're off. Anyone else? Oh, look, there's probably shades of grey.
See, my view is I have zero faith in umpires getting the red card rule right.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Do you know what I mean? I think the threat of throwing the book at people works better.
Yeah.
Than a send off will you just know that someone will get sent off. Would you want Razor Ray to have the power in a grand final to send one of your players off?
Yeah, it would. Well, could you send people off for diving? Because I reckon there'd be a lot more diving to get people sent off.
Well, my view on diving, staging diving, whatever it is...
Simulation.
I think you should get, instead of fines, you should get suspended. I agree. I think if it was a week, straight away, you'd see an overwhelmingly big decline in it happening overnight. And
that should be in soccer as well.
Oh, I mean, it's something else in football. They really need to deal with it because it's a terrible look. But, all sports have their problem. That just happens to be theirs. But I think they should review those and hand out suspension afterwards.
I agree.
Where they can
100%.
really... But it's such a big thing sending someone off. And the only way I could see it working is if you'd have to, and as silly as this sounds, have a video review of it. Yeah, because totally. AFL is so 360 nature of it, the fact that, it can come from any angle and an umpire can not see someone being, from certain ways can't see it. And even sometimes we've seen when an instance slowed down, it's sometimes even hard to tell whether the player could have pulled up or not and all that sort of stuff. Well, you just hate to see someone sent off because of an umpire just happened to think there was something in the...
The solution is pretty easy. We get our match review officer, Michael Christian, the Judge Dredd of the AFL, to be there in a virtual reality machine like Minority Report.
Yeah, right.
They stop the game, he goes out into the ground and he just reenacts everything.
Well, they can't even get the video review to work properly.
Yeah, but I'm sure, because Optus have already started this, so it's going to work really well.
See, the other thing is, I think there's certain incidents, I'm trying to remember and I might be wrong, but... a Tom Bug incident, which is off the ball. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I can't remember if he actually even got reported at the time.
Whether anyone of Tom Bug? You can't
when he
incident.
Smashed Callum Mills, punched him without looking, and that was well off the ball. And I can't remember if an umpire picked that up or not. But there's examples of that behind the play stuff that you could argue. I mean, that clearly, if you were going to have a red card, would be as clear a red card as you could ever have. Right? But some of those off the ball stuff, umpires don't even always see it. So you could have a case where you got a red card, but because it happens off it might get picked up by all the cameras, but it might not get picked up by the umpire.
Yeah.
You got players that will escape it because of that. So it's just too...
You do the VAR like they have been in the World Cup where the umpire then at the next stoppage suddenly gets called over and they say, Hound, go have a look at that.
Yeah, I know, but if there's one thing footy doesn't need, it's more let's slow it. I mean, slow it down and have more. So I'm just not really... I don't think the problem is so bad that it has to be if this was happening every single game, or even every week, you'd go maybe we need a red card, but it's not.
It's not. I agree, and that's why my official position is not yet.
But look at Union, right? They have yellow cards and red cards, but often that's for stuff like slowing the ball the ruck like over and over again. Like you are doing unsportsmanlike acts.
Okay.
They warn you. Finally, it's a yellow card.
I love rugby union referees. They're so polite. Considering that's one of the roughest games of the
they
world.
do ruin the sport.
It's a lot of number 12. Can you not do that, please?
So anyway, I don't know. I wouldn't. I just think there's so many things that you kind of think that often in AFL. My theory of the AFL more often than not, and these ideas of things is it's solutions looking for a problem.
That's good.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
that's
people
perfect.
go, oh, zones. What are you trying to actually fix? Zones. And you're like, we should have zones. Why? Oh, congestion. Exactly how are we going to fix it? And isn't that like what everyone has complained about since day one?
Yep.
In this.
In the first ever game, I'm reading this book about the history of sport. I mean, the ball was just surrounded by a whole ruck and mall of players,
right?
Just around. No one even knew where the goal square was.
What book is it?
Oh, it's by this this special needs kid.
I like how you've just come around to reading my book.
I know, yeah. I'm really enjoying it, by the way. Everyone should buy it.
Thanks.
What's it called? Hang on, I've got it here. A thoroughly unhelpful history of Australian sport.
You can come on again.
I will give the official review, folks. It is not as bad as you think it's going to be. If you read it out of obligation, like me, you'll actually enjoy a fair bit of it.
Well, we've run out of things on our non-existent run sheet, and this is why I'm always going to have a run sheet in the future. Have you got anything else you want to raise before we move on?
Any other business? Our TIFF. When's Francis back? Like next week or something?
I don't know. I've seen images of him singing in Russia and doing all sorts of crazy things.
He's doing that podcast with Tony Wilson.
He is.
I bet you there's no run sheet there.
It's in Russian. It's terrible. Can't say a word he says. Now, do you have anything to plug?
I did a sketch on Game Day that's got a bit of traction online. The list of the annoying types of footy fan. It's up on YouTube now. If you missed it and you heard people talk about it, go and have a look. And a lot of my favourite.
Everyone's talking about it.
Everyone's well, it's going all right. It's all of my old Game Day sketches are up on YouTube. Check out my YouTube channel.
All of them.
No, all the ones I'm proud of. So it's like three.
one in three's gone up.
Actually, that's pretty accurate.
You got any tour dates?
No. Yes. Oh God, yeah. I mean, I am. I'm playing the Sydney Comedy Store in a couple of weeks. Hang on, let me just look at. Do you know? Isn't it bad that I have a paper diary which I don't have on me, but I know what I'm doing which week based on who the Bulldogs are playing that weekend.
Who has a paper diary?
I'm scared of technology. So,
well, do you want me to run through my dates while you look for your dates?
Sure.
So I'm happy to announce, everyone, I am going on tour again. This is for the bye week ahead of finals. So one's before that and the rest are all during that sort of break. So to my friends in Hobart who I've been threatening to come and visit and do a show down there, I'm doing the 4th of August at the Jokers Comedy Club there.
Run by Gavin Baskerville. Great bloke.
So I'll be there on 4th of August. So I'll put tickets to this in the run sheet. I'm doing the Street Theatre in Canberra. Going back to Canberra, I haven't been there since last year. The Street Theatre, which is a great theatre up there. That's on the 27th of August. On the 29th of August, I'll be over in Perth at the Octagon Theatre, which is the University of WA, where I was that time last year, so coming back for that. This is the bye week where I wrap up basically the season, so it's all AFL, unlike my tour that I did earlier in the year, or Comedy Festival show,
all fresh material, will it?
It will. Because the other one I did was, history of Australian sport, so it was all different stuff. So it is a new show. So if you saw that, there's no reason not to. Well, if you saw that, you probably don't want to come and see me ever again. But anyway, that's another problem.
It wasn't really a history of Australian sport compared to your book. It was more a history of Australian ball tampering. So dragged that out for an hour. It's very funny.
August 31st, I'm at the Comedy Store in Sydney. I'm then on the 1st of September, I then go over back down to Melbourne for the Athenaeum Theatre. So that's the 1st of September. And on the 2nd of September, which I think is Father's Day from memory, I am at the Arkabar again in Adelaide. I was in the Arkabar a couple of weeks ago for a show, which was a great show with a great crowd. Adelaide has always been good to me. So they're my dates. I'll put a link to all of that in the podcast notes. So that's my dates. I'm very excited. I'm actually getting out and about over the next that week or month or so. So that bye week. He's got nothing else to do that bye week. And this gets you out.
Yeah.
Of having to talk to other people.
Yeah, it's handy. I'm doing the Sydney Comedy Store on Friday 13th of July, Saturday 14th of July, and then the week after that I'm heading over to Perth to do the Perth Comedy Lounge, Friday 20th of July, Saturday 21st of July.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll see you next week.